All right, welcome back, folks. We are here for another round of touchdown times. We got episode 8 on our hands. We're going to go through the agenda here. Obviously, we got myself, Alo, and our co-host, Savvy Sav, online with us, ready to talk about episode 8 and touchdown times, week 5 coming up. Yeah, we have a special guest with us. We'll get into that and announce that a little bit later, but we're going to do a week 4 recap as well as a week 5 preview. Talk about a little bit more on fantasy football, some of the segments we got going on there. Savvy Sav's going to go over the betting segment, and then we'll announce the winner for the touchdown trivia, and we'll wrap it up after that. But to start us off, I guess we're going to introduce our guest. We have Matt Evans, ME7 era, Woody Harrelson, our crazy white boy, Matthew Evans here with us. How you doing, Matt?
Doing good, guys. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to chatting with you guys a little bit about football, a little bit about the season, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I guess we'll get right into the interview here. I mean, first and foremost, tell us why you love football. What attracted you to it? How did you get into football, man?
So yeah, growing up, big sports guy. Always loved sports. Grew up in Canada, so started out with hockey. Really got into that when I was younger, and then moved here to California. And in middle school, with you guys out there, we would wake up in the morning and be playing football out there. So that really attracted me to sport, made me love it. It was just always a fun time getting out there and having fun.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and being good was fun too. So that was great.
Definitely
Oh yeah,
helps
man.
when you're good at the sport. Yeah. Fun fact, we actually all went through and played football all throughout high school. So we were all on the same team growing up and played high school ball together. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, we learned a lot through that. But yeah, who's your team? I know I see the team in the background, but elaborate a little bit more on your team and some of the best moments of your team that you remember.
Yeah, so got Lambeau Field, really the Packers, all about the Packers. Give a huge shout out to them. They're great. Um they really are my team because my dad was into them growing up.
Hmm.
I originally, when I got into football, the Steelers, they were winning the Super Bowl, so I was like a bandwagon.
Let's go.
And then I realized really quickly they weren't going to be great forever, so I was like, yeah, the Packers. Always had great coaching. I think Matt LaFleur coming in, he's put together a good system and everything around it. But yeah, having Aaron Rodgers there and Brett Favre there before him, it's just always been a great team with a great quarterback, and the receiving core has always been there up until now. But we're putting it together, so I'm excited to see what's going on with the season, and excited to see what's going on with Jordan Love. I think he's been doing great, putting up numbers like Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, no, he definitely has been doing great this season. Do you have a favorite memory or something that was like, this was what made me a Green Bay Packers fan?
Uh, yeah, I think it was the Super Bowl. It was the Steelers versus the Packers. Like I said, self self committed bandwagon here. When they played against the Packers, me and my dad had like a little bet. I was younger, so it was a little bet on dishes. Had to do the dishes for the whole family. That sucked, but yeah, we lost to the Packers, and the next year I was like, well, this sucks. So yeah, just that was a big memory, and the Super Bowl has always been a special thing in my family, and just getting together, watching the ball game. So that's really just going back to that Super Bowl, and that was like the transition. And ever since then, following Aaron Rodgers, seeing what he did with all of his years there, being a Hall of Famer, that future Hall of Famer, that's been great to watch. So really, that's kind of what sums it up.
Definitely. Awesome. And then, I mean, Packers, you mentioned Jordan Love already playing to a high level. What is your outlook for this season? Do you think they make playoffs? Like, what's kind of your outlook on them this season?
I uh I think they've been putting it together on the field. I mean, jumping right into the Lions Packers game. I don't know if we're covering that a little bit later. That game, that was a great game, but the Detroit Lions, they have a great system this year as well. So it's like we got to count our teams and look at our schedule and see who we're going to beat, and see how we advance. But I think we could probably be a wild card a little bit. I
Yeah.
think I think we have it in us. We would have to have a better record than the Lions, and that's gonna be hard with them this year.
Yeah, the Lions are definitely, have a better team, and Dan Campbell's definitely put together a better team in the last year or so. Speaking of the Lions and the Packers, we're gonna get into our matchups for Week 4. The Packers they go 2-2, and they fall short 20 versus the Lions at 3-1 at 34 points. What did you see from this game, Matt? What were some of the
Uh,
takeaways?
we're definitely a second half team. I feel like that's a big takeaway. We're a second half team, and we want to make the comebacks happen. We just need to start the game stronger. And it's good to have Aaron Jones back. That's nice to see.
I guess we saw Jared Goff go 19 for 210 yards, one TD, one interception. Jordan Love, he's looking really good, really really good. Up until this point, he didn't have many interceptions, but we see him with two interceptions. Although 23 completions for 246 yards is a great stat as well for him. What were your thoughts on Aaron Jones coming back this game and just not being as productive as you would have liked?
Well, I don't know. I think we're gonna have to get it done through the air. So that's one thing that I was watching, and it really stood out to me is we're gonna have to let these rookie and second year receivers do their thing and really put it together with Jordan Love. I don't know if it's the Lions' fault, like if they're not putting the blocks out there, if we're not reading them, but as far as the run game goes, we definitely there's people out there maybe on the way. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I think AJ Dillon is gonna have to put it together. He's getting snaps, and Aaron Jones, he's getting snaps, and they're not getting the big gains like they did years prior.
Yeah, definitely a little bit harder of a matchup for the Packers this week, but hopefully they bounce back next week. Speaking of hard matchups, the Steelers they fell 2-2. A horrendous game for the Steelers. They lost 30-6 over the Texans. A lot of controversy that I'm hearing with the Steelers fans out there. Matt Canada potentially being fired. Kenny Pickett and just the offense is just not clicking as much as these fans would like him to click. But Kenny Pickett goes 15 completions for 114 yards. He also got injured on that play, so something to keep on your radar if you do have him there. Najee Harris, 14 carries, 71 yards, one reception, 32 yards. It was nice to see him get a little bit more active in that passing game and pick up a good, 32-yard chunk on that. But in this game, I just realized that CJ Stroud and Nico Collins really connected, and they had a lot of passing yards, right? 306 passing yards, 16 completions, 17 receptions for Nico Collins, 168 yards, two TDs. He's a top 10 wide receiver in fantasy right now. It might be worth checking out. He's got a little bit harder of a schedule coming up, but he's definitely proven himself to be that wide receiver one on there. Savvy Sav, what are your thoughts on the Matt Canada and the offense right here? I know it's a controversy in the NFL right now. What are your thoughts on it?
What's up, guys? Didn't get a chance to say anything yet, but hey, so I think the Steelers is this. Would you give it to the Texans for just looking better than we expected, or is this the Steelers? Is it bigger issues for them? That's how I'm trying to look at this because maybe we're just not giving credit to, what the Texans have been able to put together. CJ Stroud, he may be that guy. He's got that dog in him, And you're right. Nico Collins has that strong connection. They still got Damian Pierce running it out there, and overall, Steelers had their Kenny Pickett had a bruised knee, I think. So, if he has issues like that, that could have also hindered him a bit towards the end. But you're only putting up 6 points. That's not how you want to have your game going. And yeah, overall, did George Pickens go down in this game too?
I think he might have gotten taken out, but he came back.
Okay.
I don't think he went out. But yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, I think I do think that it was in Houston. It was in Houston. Texans played a great game, phenomenal game in front of a home crowd. And we can't knock them for that, but the offense for the Steelers have not been clicking all season. This is a consistent 3-and-out team that is not performing and not, moving the chains. And I don't know, man. I think it's time to possibly look into other offensive coordinators than Matt Canada. That's just my perspective on it, but it is what it is. Matt, what do you got to weigh in on this? You got any decisions for Matt Canada? Should they fire him? Should they tote him along until the end of the season? What's your thoughts on it?
Fire him. Get rid of him.
Bam.
Nah, yeah, that's it. Yep, just
I'm
that
with
dude's
you.
done.
I'm with you. I am with you. All right, we're gonna shift gears. We're gonna go into the Eagles. Eagles keep going. They are 4-0, and they get a win over the Commanders that fall 2-2. Close overtime win for the Eagles. What are your thoughts on this one, Savvy Sav?
Yes, sir. So we thought this would be maybe a steamroll game. The Washington football team, they put up a good fight. I have to give credit to them. A divisional match, that's always going to be close, at least what I notice. But hey, Eagles had to go in there and get it done. Jalen Hurts going out there slinging the ball around 319 yards, 2 TDs. DeAndre Swift, he's getting the average carries now, about 14 carries, only 56 yards, but still looking pretty decent out there. And then hey, he asked again. He's still getting it. AJ Brown's out there, 9 receptions, 175 yards, 2 TDs. So, when he wants the team to put it on his back, he can do it, which I'm very happy with. But overall, I think our defense is still pretty sus. I'm not liking our defensive backs. We have to move Bradbury around a lot. And it's not looking how I want it to look. And I think we need these kind of not easier matchups, so they are easier than the rest we're going to get later, to kind of tweak those things out. Maybe look around for the trade deadline, see if you can find someone you can pick up, kind of fill those holes. But yeah, man, I'll give props to the Commanders. They definitely put up a fight. And I think Scary Terry looked pretty good out there. Sam Howell looking okay, 290 yards and a touch. So yeah, it was still a really good game, and they were able to come back and get it really close. I think personally, when the team is tied up and they're about to go to OT, you go for 2. And I thought that's what the Commanders are going to do, but they decide,
100%.
they decide to go and kick it, go to OT. Usually the better team will win it out from there. So
Yeah.
I think that's cowardly. So they probably should have tried to win that game, but hey, we'll take the win. But
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, no, definitely. I remember watching that at watching at Happy Viking in Yuba City, and that was an overtime game that just had everybody on their toes, and it was a great game to watch and see it in a good atmosphere. Any thoughts on that one, Matt?
Yeah, I thought AJ Brown was great in that one. But yeah, just a great game all around. It's always fun, I feel like, to watch Jalen Hurts.
Mhm.
He gets out there, he moves around, he does his thing, moving out of the pocket, not wanting to get sacked, getting those extra seconds in the pocket. That's huge
Mhm.
for those wideouts. So that's been fun to watch. But yeah, I think with the defense, like you said, Eli, they have the puzzle pieces. They just got to put it together.
Mhm.
I think they can stop teams. I mean, they're definitely one of those guys in the books that I think can make it far in the playoffs. Just with Jalen Hurts at the helm.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Definitely. Awesome. We're gonna move into the Chiefs versus the Jets. The Chiefs pick it up 23-20, and they move on 3-1, and the Jets fall to 1-3. Big matchup here. I don't think anybody thought it was going to be this close, but what were some of your thoughts on this one, Matt?
Yeah, no, I think the Jets losing and what's going on with them, like I watched some Hard Knocks this last season. That first game, it seemed like they had the fire under them, and I think they did that for Aaron Rodgers. Just the way he went out sucked.
Mhm.
I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan at heart, so I wanted to see him compete this year and see what they could do and put together. So yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be a tough season ahead of them. I put some equity into the receiving core, the running backs there, and I hope they can continue to stay focused on what they were focused on in Hard Knocks, and they'll do good things. But yeah, sucks to see them lose, but they fought.
Yeah, definitely. Patrick Mahomes, doing his thing, 18 completions, 203 yards, 1 TD. We did see some interceptions out of him in this one. So definitely, you don't want to be turning the ball over. I think that's what made it a close game to begin with, is the fact that they had a couple turnovers. Zach Wilson, 28 completions, 245 yards, 2 TDs. I think that's the best game he's played since taking the helm for the Jets. Isaiah Pacheco getting it done on the ground. That guy was running like he was mad at the ground. 10 carries, 115 yards, 1 TD. Brees Hall, a little bit more, like you said, we wish we got a little bit more expectation out of Brees Hall. 6 carries, 56 yards, not doing the best. Yeah, Savvy Sav, you see anything through the air that you want to touch on for the Chiefs and the Jets game there?
You know, I think Jets may have gotten robbed in this game. And honestly, their defense is so good, man. If you can get two turnovers on Mahomes like that, if you can get them to only 23 points, a better offense should be able to win that game for you. And I feel bad for that defense. They're
Yeah,
out there putting everything out there to stop one of the best teams in the league, best offenses out there, and you still only can put up 20. You can't get it done. And it's like, I don't know. And it's obviously Zach Wilson, and he still put up a good fight, but even his best isn't enough. But I
yeah,
still think, the penalty towards the end of the game, a lot of those
yeah,
things seemed a little
100%.
fishy.
Yeah,
And you know what? This was the highest viewed game, regular season game in a very long time. And that's a lot has
it's
to do
all
with,
those Swifties. It's
Swifties,
all those
exactly.
Swifties.
And everyone wants to say, oh, this could be the controversy of, the NFL wants to kind of get those Swifty fans hyped and maybe help Kelsey look really good. Obviously, that's all talk, but I still think it has some merit where the NFL does want the Chiefs to succeed.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. It was just a little sus towards the end, but hey, here's the Chiefs. I guess good teams get it done, but still, I think Jets got robbed there.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. Definitely agree. I saw Isaiah Pacheco run it in for a touchdown. I was looking forward to his dance, and they panned the camera to T Swift, trying to see her reaction. And I'm like, this guy just scored a touchdown, and you give it to the girl that's not even playing for the touchdown celebration?
Exactly. And
Jeez.
Sheesh.
I was seeing this article. They were basically saying that the NBA does this all the time. They have their celebrities in the games, but they only show them once and that's it.
Mhm.
NFL does not have this happen very often, apparently. So they're just going crazy with it. They're like, oh, all this
Yeah,
publicity we can get, all this extra money we're getting, and it's like even Kelsey himself, Travis, he said they're overdoing it. So he
yeah,
admits it too that the NFL's kind of doesn't know how to react to this. So
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I guess we'll see how the season goes. Did not have that on my bingo card, thinking this would go down this season. But yeah, man, it's interesting.
Definitely. Awesome. We're gonna shift gears into the Dolphins versus the Bills. Dolphins come out on top 48-20, and the Dolphins fall to a 3-1. And the Bills, they're now 3-1 as well. So both, they're in the same division, right?
Yes, this was
Yeah.
a
So
divisional
both
matchup.
divisional matchups, both 3-1, gunning for the top spot. What were some of the things you saw in this one, Savvy Sav?
Just a good old fashioned ass kicking, dude. The Dolphins coming up there putting up 70 the week before, and the Bills just came in and basically stomped them out. They were able to neutralize all their threats downfield. Tua was not looking himself, just one touchdown, one interception. Hey man, not A Chain, a Chan, a Chan. They corrected it on the commentator, I think. But start him. Everyone, please start him. 101
Yeah,
yards, 2 TDs. I put him on my bench again because I wasn't sure. Now I know. I'm going to make sure he's like a regular starter each time. He's taking over from
100%.
Mostert. He's probably going to be taking most of the carries now, or at least getting a lot of the goal lines. I think he's the guy to go with. And then, just a bad outing from Tyreek and Waddle. I think Tyreek had only 52 yards. Waddle had slightly less, I believe. But on the other side, man, Diggs, Stefon Diggs. This was his game to go out there and prove it to everyone. He's that guy again. 6 receptions, 120 yards, 3 TDs. I felt like they were running up the score, and I think that's fair to them. They were like, you know what, Dolphins were doing the same thing last week. Let's just start running up on them this week. I thought it'd be a
Little
closer
put
game.
you in your place for that divisional matchup, huh?
Exactly. They're still showing them their little brother. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely was definitely an ass kicking. Any
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that, Matt?
Yeah, I thought it was a good game until the second half. And then the second half, it kind of turned the other way. But I thought the Dolphins, after what they did to Denver and seeing Denver win, like it was like the scripts flipped in 1 week, and that's what happens in football. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Any
it
given
was fun to
Sunday.
watch, right?
Yeah.
But with I mean, with their quarterback Josh Allen, they're going to do things. They're going to get things done. I don't think he's had a hot start of this season yet, so I think hopefully this sparks something in him, and connecting with Stefon Diggs like that. Man, Stefon Diggs, he's a future Hall of Famer as well. So it's like you gotta throw the ball to him more. But yeah, no, it was fun to watch. I was watching that one on the big screen in the casino, and I was like, oh man, this is great. And then yeah, second half it was like, all right, flip the channel. Um,
Definitely. Yeah, no, Josh Allen, real hot start in this game particular. 21 completions, 320 yards, 4 TDs. I think he ran for a TD, and Stephon Diggs had a highlight where he was getting tackled and he did a little spin and then he broke it for about 40 yards or so and got a TD out of it. So that's always it's always cool to see those highlights, and especially in a good atmosphere, whether you're at the casino or at a bar or wherever, just the crowd get hyped for it. So yeah, that concludes our week 4 recap and the games that we kind of talked about there. We're going to move into our week 5 top action matchups. These are going to be our primetime games. These are going to be other fun matchups that we talk about. But what's the outlook for tomorrow's game? We have Thursday night game on Amazon Prime. Bears are 0-4. They're going up against the Commanders 2-2. Let me hear your thoughts on it, guys. What are your thoughts? We'll start with Savvy Sav first.
Just a stinker. It's the classic Thursday night stinker that, I'm not super excited for. Commanders, I think they gave up a really good fight against a good Eagles team. Bears still cannot get it done. They had a close game last week, but they what was the last game? Didn't they end up losing it? They were up 21-7, and then they had the comeback, and then they ended up losing it there. So they can't get it done towards the end. So I'm gonna have to give the Commanders on that one. Overall, probably won't be that good of a matchup, but I would have to give the Commanders.
All right, all right.
You can't ever go with those 0-4 teams. I feel like definitely just what Justin. I thought Justin Fields would be that guy, but not this season. I don't know what's going on, but I'm happy that they're not doing well. Go Packers.
Yeah. This one's hard for the Bears to come back. They're just a terrible team this year. I was watching something and it basically said you can get a ticket for the Bears game for $2.68, and that's like the lowest sale for a ticket price to go see the Bears, which is insane. But that's what happens when you're 0-4. And at what point do you question it? Is it the coach or is it the quarterback? Like, at what point in the season do you maybe potentially bench Justin Fields? You guys got thoughts on that?
Who's their backup?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is it Trubisky's no longer there?
No.
Is he?
No.
No, yeah.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They should have kept him. Should have kept Trubisky.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I would give it to the Commanders on this one. They've kind of at least gone 500 in their record so far, and they've definitely had a tough matchup last week that they could have won if they went to that 2-point conversion. I agree with that. I would have went for it too, but yeah, it sounds like we're all picking the Commanders on this one. We'll move into the Sunday night matchup. This one's a little bit more exciting. Two teams that are over 500. 700 in their record so far. We got the Cowboys in Santa Clara at the Niner Stadium. Niners are 4-0 and Cowboys are 3-1. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Who takes this matchup? Matt, we'll talk with you first.
I feel like that one's a big offense versus defense one. Defense wins championships. I don't know. It's the regular season. I'm gonna have to go with the offense on this one, so I'm gonna go with the Niners. I think they've really put it together with Purdy in the backfield, and liking what I'm seeing from them. But yeah, I would definitely go Niners over Cowboys. And I think just every game I've watched of the Cowboys this season, they did have that one game where it didn't look like the defense was doing so great. So it really is going to depend on the defense and what they do there.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. These are both high-powered defensive teams, Micah Parsons, and they lost Trayvon Diggs, though, and that's going to hurt him in the secondary. But even that 49ers defense is just solid with the Bosa on the end there, and they're just a solid defense. So we'll see how they produce on offense, but I think the Niners have a little bit better of a high-powered offense. Brock Purdy has so many weapons from the tight end position with George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. He's a dog. Debo's getting it done multiple ways, and then obviously CMC is just a touchdown machine. But I'm gonna go with the 49ers on this one as well. I just think they have all the pieces and they haven't been proven wrong or put in their place just yet. So yeah. Savvy Sav, thoughts on Cowboys versus the Niners on this one?
Boo Cowboys, man. They're frauds. I do think they're gonna lose. I think they haven't really had a good test, and even when they had bad tests, they lost to the Cardinals. So I don't think they can go in there, especially going into Santa Clara and taking on the 49ers. That
Hmm.
offense is too strong. They've shown it. And yeah, I think the Cowboys can falter and they can be exposed. So you don't need to get too deep into it, but yeah, I'm just gonna have to give it to the Niners in this one. Yeah.
Definitely. We'll move into the Monday night game. We got the Green Bay Packers. Matt, that's your team. They're 2-2 right now. They're going into Vegas and playing a 1-3 Raiders team. What are your thoughts on this one, man? They're going into Vegas. Hopefully, there's a good fan turnout base in Vegas. Generally, for the opposite team, it's always the case. But what are your thoughts? Going in and facing the Raiders on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. Sorry about that there. So I think it's exactly that. I think that the Packers are going to go there, and the field's going to be filled with Packers fans. I don't think it's going to be the Raiders fans there. They've been having a problem with that. But also, Jimmy Garoppolo, I've never been a big believer in him. He's a good quarterback, but at the same time, I think we have a strong outing in this one, and as long as we come in strong and we're focused. Aaron Jones, he bounces back from last week. I think we can put it together, win it big. But yeah, I'm excited to see the Packers there in Vegas and win it. And that's Devontae Adams. I think it's always going to be a revenge game for him.
Hmm.
So I feel like him coming in and playing against the Packers, it's going to be a lot of Devontae Adams receptions. So
Yeah.
if you got him on your team, better be a starter. Of course he is. He's a great player, but at the same time, I hope the Packers win.
Yeah, definitely. Good Monday night matchup with them. Thoughts on this one, Savvy Sav?
Like Matt was saying before, the Packers, they seem to have a slow start and have to, come out towards the second half. So I think this is their get right game to be able to lay it down on the Raiders suspect defense. So even though being at home, you're right. I mean, every Vegas game, fans love to make their travels there. We did it before one year to go see the Eagles play over there. So yeah, I mean, it probably will be a mostly home game for the Packers, and I think they should be able to easily handle it.
Yeah, I would agree. I give it to the Packers on this one. I do think they need to come out a little bit stronger in the first half and really set the tone on this specific game here. I think if they can shut down Devontae Adams, it looked and seemed like he was the only weapon last week, and he was putting up all the touchdowns and making everything happen. But if they can shut him down, I think, and force that run game to really to depend for the Raiders to depend on that run game, and they can stop that, I think they'll come out on top with the Packers getting a W in Vegas. So that wraps up our primetime games. Looks like we chose Commanders over the Bears, the Niners over the Cowboys, and the Packers over the Raiders. And that kind of wraps up the primetime games. We're going to move into some of our other matchups. These are quick hits. So we're going to pick a reason and then keep it brief. One statement talking about each of these matchups here, and then we'll kind of go through it. So first matchup, we got the Eagles. They're 4-0. They're going into the Rams Stadium at SoFi, and they're taking on the Rams 2-2. Eli, we'll start with you. You're headed to this game. What are your thoughts, man?
Yes, sir, man. So I'll be there at that game in the afternoon, heading up to LA, going with my roommate Michael. Should be pretty fun. Hey, man, Eagles came out with overtime. I think they're going to have another. I think this will be a tough matchup. I honestly like the Rams offense. I think they put up good fights. I love Puka out there. I know Cooper Kupp isn't going to back yet, but I know he's practicing now, so it's a good sign for fantasy people. But yeah, overall, I think it'll be a close one. Every time they play the Rams, it's been a fun game. I've usually tried to go to these games too, so I'm really looking forward to it. I think Eagles can squeak it out. I'm probably liking to take the Rams on the spread there. I'm not sure what it is. It might be like within 4 or 5, but I think it'll be a close one. It can come down to a field goal, so I'm gonna have to give it to the Eagles on that one.
Awesome, Matt. Your thoughts on the Eagles versus the Rams?
Yeah, Eagles. I think they got that high power offense. Rams with Matthew Stafford, what he's done there ever since he got there. I think that they're strong too, but I think it's just going to be a good shootout. Hopefully the Eagles defense comes to play because you're right, Eli. Nuka, he's out there and he's getting it done. So hopefully I'm right, but I'd go with the Eagles.
Yeah. I definitely think the Eagles are taking this one. They're 4-0 going up against 2-2 team. It will be a shootout in my regard. You got Devonta Smith and AJ Brown. You got Puka Nuka. and some of the other guys out there that are playing really good football. Tyler Higbee's hopefully going to get back into the lineup and get some action in that regard. But I think it'll be a high scoring game, hopefully, and it'll be a good game for you to go catch in LA and hang out for the weekend, man. Looking forward to having you down here and hanging out. We're going to move into the Ravens versus the Steelers. Ravens are 3-1. This is a divisional round matchup. Steelers, they're 2-2. This one, I gotta go Steelers, man. Pittsburgh's on my hat right now. Steelers fan, so I'm going Steelers on this one. I think more than anything, it's going to be the battle of who's more physical. This is going to be both at the line as well as the running game in my regard. Who's going to be the most physical, and that is really going to set the tempo and the tone for how the rest of the game plays out. But more than anything, it's going to be who scores first, and who scores that first two times and is consistent within scoring, and who takes care of the ball. Lamar Jackson, he's had a couple fumbles running the ball, and the Steelers, they had a turnover last week, and if they can get a couple turnovers, it should be able to stay in the game, but it's not something you want to depend on. But I'm going to go Steelers as a homer here, and say they win. Thoughts on this one, Matt?
Gotta go with the Ravens on this one. I think it's always gonna come down to what Lamar Jackson does there and how he plays. But I think he's a good player. And the Steelers, I mean, they did get beat up last week, so I feel like coming into this week after getting beat up, that's always tough for any team. So
Yeah.
it was a hard fought fight last week. Hopefully, they put something together, but I got the Ravens in this one.
Gotcha. Savvy Sav, thoughts on the Ravens at the Steelers in this week's other quick fun matchups here?
Like I said earlier, I think it was more indicative of the Texans being better than we thought. I still think the Steelers can be a solid team. I'll say that this is a home game for the Steelers. Divisional matchup.
Yep.
Kenny Pickett's back and he's healthy with that bone bruise. Yeah, man, I think this could be their comeback game. This could be the game they set it right. Usually these divisional matchups could be anything. This could be the one that the Ravens just happen to drop. They dropped one before, so yeah, man. You know what? Let's ride it out. Let's ride it out, man. I'm gonna go with the Steelers on this one.
Hey, there we go. There we go. All right, and we're gonna move into the Jags, who are 2-2. They're playing the Bills in Buffalo. Bills are 3-1. Tell me some of your thoughts on this one. Savvy Sav, we'll let you take it away first.
Oh, so Bills, they just had a great beating on the Dolphins. It's going to be a home game for them. I think think they're one of the teams to beat, top AFC team besides the Chiefs. Jags, after a bad loss the week before, they were able to go into London and take off, or able to get the win against the Falcons. They look pretty dominant. Sorry, I messed that up. Bills are not the home team because it's playing in London again. So with that, I think I'm gonna have to say the Jags could be surprising over here. They're already kind of used to playing out there after playing the last week. They've kind of got. I feel like also they have a pretty big fan base out in London. For some reason they're like the official international team for some reason. I think they played there like every year. So
yeah, no,
yeah, man. I think that could be an interesting one. Hey, who knows, man? When you're across the pond, anything could happen. So I'm gonna go with the underdog here. I'm gonna take the Jags on this one too. So, let's go, man. Let's see what'll happen.
That just makes me think it's scripted, man. You know what I mean? This just makes me think it's scripted. If Evan Ingram scores 2 touchdowns, it's scripted. I'm calling it now. Anyway, Matt, what are your thoughts on the Bills and the Jags playing in London here?
Yeah, I think Eli's onto something there. It's kind of like they're coming home. They do it every year, so I feel like if anyone's used to it, it'd be the veterans on that roster. So they're going over there, over the pond. Hopefully, it's not on Disney Plus again. No, I'm kidding. That was pretty cool. So yeah, I think the Jags are gonna pull it off. I believe last week they had a really good defensive week. So as long as the defense keeps the momentum, I feel like the defenses, when they get hot, they stay more hot than an offense would. So I got the Jags in this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go against the grain on this one, man. I'm gonna say the Bills go in there, and the Jags defense just can't shut them down, and they're gonna score 3 to 4 touchdowns, and they're just gonna break the Jags, and just break them mentally. football is football no matter where it's played. So I think the Bills take it and they move on to 4-1. But we'll see what happens. Anything can happen any given Sunday, and especially off international games. So we'll see. But yeah, that wraps up our week 5 matchups, top action for our primetime games, as well as some of the other fun matchups that we kind of talked about a little bit. Feel free to follow us on Instagram and chime in on some of the things that we're talking about, as well as send us a text or shoot us an email at touchdowntimes95@gmail.com, and we'll put some more primetime games, other fun matchups on there to talk about. If you want to talk about something, or if you want to tune in, definitely do. We're gonna move into our fantasy football segment, the Coach's Corner. We got Matt Evans on here to talk about a little bit about his fantasy football teams and the draft that he went through. So I guess how are you doing in fantasy football this year, Matt?
Yeah, I got 2 really good leagues, 2 leagues not going so hot. But the main league, the one we're here for, the Degenerate Gentlemen's, we're enjoying it. We're having a good season so far over here on the ET Phone Mahomes squad. And it's been good. I have a few players. I know I drafted Patrick Mahomes first round. I think it was the second round. Might have
No,
been
it
the
was
12th.
first. It was first
Was it?
overall. It was
Okay.
first, man. You screw
All right.
quarterbacks up for the rest of us.
So yeah, I grabbed Mahomes, and I have a great backup. So I feel like I'm gonna have a strong season. I think if we look at the projections, I'm projected for like 4th right now in the league. So I'm happy about that. But it's just the start of the season. There's a lot that can happen from here till the end of the season, and beyond. But been a part of the fantasy league with you guys, what, like 4 years running?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm looking to get a championship. It's been a while. I think it's my turn this year. One team I'm looking at and worried about is Michael. He's got a team over there, so
Yeah.
we'll see him in the playoffs. Yeah, it's going well. I like the fantasy league we got.
Yeah, Michael's definitely a contender at the top spot right now. Beat the brakes off me last week. Put up like 180 points, just could not even get close to that. And I fell weak that I fell that week, but he's definitely a contender in our league. I guess why don't you tell us about some of the guys that you got on your team, some of the difference makers.
Yeah, so this season I got Stefan Diggs. Last week was great. He really put up some points for me. I always shift out the defenses, so I feel like you can always get a lucky hit on the defenses. But I got this week. It's not looking good. Kenneth Walker, Rashad White. I think they're big hitters. I think they're gonna do what they do seasons prior. They're gonna crush it. So I got those guys in the running back position. They're both on bye this week. That sucks.
Oof.
So who I put in their spot, I got him off the waiver. I saw Ezekiel Elliott doing some groundwork last week with the Patriots. They had a terrible game, but I feel like if they play against a weaker defense, he might be able to put up big points. So I filled their spot with him. And then to go with the name, I got Travis. I don't know if I pronounced the last name, Etienne. So that's my ET. He's always going home to the end zone. He's crushing it this year. And then I got some Packers love in there. Jordan Love on the bench. So when that bye week comes by, he's going to be a perfect replacement for Patrick Mahomes. And then I got Christian Watson. I think he's coming back. He just came back this last week. I think he's going to crush it throughout the rest of the season. Jordan Love's going to see that he's someone that catches the ball, and I think that's going to help him in his fantasy value.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely some great players and some big hitters on there. Most interesting to me is your running back committee, right? You got Travis, you got Rashad White, you got Kenneth Walker. These are all, second year, third year players, and that tends to be where a lot of these players break out as their second and third year, I would say. So definitely, got a good running back committee in that regard. And I think you got a great team, man. And I think I'm playing you this week in fantasy, man. So I'm
Yep.
kind of glad that that Kenneth Walker's sitting on the bench for me. And And yeah, so let's make it interesting, Matt. Let's bet a little pizza bet on it. Little Domino's action on this one, huh?
Sounds good to me. I'm always down for a little pizza bet. With this week, I do got Adam Thielen. I think he was a steal from the waiver wire. I don't know why you guys were leaving him there. With Bryce Young coming back, he's gonna be targeted. I mean, if Andy Dalton's the veteran over there and Bryce Young comes in and sees that he was throwing the ball to him, hopefully he was watching that on the sideline. But I think it's gonna be a good game.
It's got a good matchup.
I
Yeah.
gotta here. Give me 1 sec. Let me pull up the matchup. So let me look at your team here. Da, da, da.
Yeah, so the Andrew, it's gonna be a battle of good quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. Oh, but Andrew's got Bijan over there. So Andrew's kind of stacked on the running back side with Bijan and Tony Pollard this week, and even James Conner
Yeah,
thrown into his flex.
he didn't. You didn't get hit by buys as much. I think in that
I
regard,
did. They're just all on my
doing
bench.
well. Yeah, so you have your starters in there. I think it's a statement if I win this pizza bet. I think it's a statement.
Yeah, no, definitely would put me in the under 500 range. It's not something I'm looking forward to, but definitely trying to knock you down a notch and win some pizza while I'm at it.
Right on.
Awesome. We're gonna move into our week 5 power rankings. I'm gonna let Savvy Sav take this over. He's got some fantasy pros rankings and things like that. He's ran our league through, so I'm gonna let him take it from here.
Yeah, so I use the app Fantasy Pros for some of our fantasy, our teams, and we can kind of incorporate all the teams in our league, and it kind of can crunch some numbers based on, player rankings, their matchups, and such, and it kind of gives you a scoring system. So right now for the week 5 power rankings, at least for the top through our 10 teams, we got Michael at number 1, Tristan at number 2, Paulo at 3, Andrew, you're at 4. Ridley's money line is Jacob at 5, Edward at 6, me at 7, Matt at 8, probably because of all the buys, and then Jared at 9, and poor Robert at 10. So hanging down there. He's struggling at 0-4, man. But yes, that's just week 5 power rankings. That's just basing it off of who you have starting, who's in, who's their matchups are. So I think it is pretty reflective on the bye week and everything too. So yeah, so I kind of just noticed that, I wanted to bring that up. And then rest of season power rankings, it's a little different just because it'll incorporate the rest of the season, look at the rest of the matchups, maybe the injuries that have happened already, so how your players can move up in ranking and where they project them to be. So again, Michael at number 1, his team is looking solid. Stat McCaffrey, man, he's just going off for him.
For real.
They have me and Matt tied 2 and 3, so at 89 out of 100. So we're right there, and then Andrew's right there at 4. So hey, man, we're in the top 4 right there already. So I think we all have solid teams. It's going to be a fun rest of the season for us. And then just to go down for the rest, 5 is Edward, 6 is Jared, 7 is Jacob, 8 is Paulo, 9 is Tristan, and 10 is Robert. So kind of gives you the idea of it. It'll change through the weeks, and maybe in a couple weeks I'll update it and put a new one out there. But if you guys are interested in this, I can always put the weekly power rankings to see how you think your team might do. But yeah, I'll update the rest of the season stuff as we go on.
Yeah, definitely throw that in the degenerates group chat too. I think they'd get a kick out of it. One thing I will shout out is Robert keeping it consistent, 10 at the bottom, but he's got other things to celebrate. Shouts out to the boy, he's getting married. Happy engagement to you and your girl, and can't wait to celebrate next year, man. We're gonna move on to waiver wire targets. Eli, you got some targets for us. Let us hear them.
Yeah. So I mean, I won't go crazy with my list or anything, but I think a big QB one that everyone was looking at, and I was too, and I tried to get him in a league or two, but CJ Stroud, he's definitely been stepping up and having strong connections, especially out there with Tank Dell and Nico Collins, and yeah, I think he's a young guy. He's probably one of the best. Well, him and Anthony Richardson are probably close together right there. But yeah, I would have to give it to CJ Stroud, and there's a couple of guys that I'm questioning whether I should start him or CJ Stroud, if I had the chance. So we could talk about that a little bit. But that's kind of like my number 1 waiver I'm looking at that a lot of people were liking. Do you guys have any thoughts on anyone else we're targeting this week or just looking into?
Yeah, I don't think so. Not in this league particularly, but in other leagues, I'm having some running back issues. Our league, it's just bye weeks. In those other leagues, I'm having running back issues, big issues. So I looked at Denver's running back and what McLaughlin did this last week. I think he's super deep. He's projected for like 4 points, but when a running back pops off, they're going to continue to pop off. So I think he's someone that's just a sneaker. Maybe grab him on your bench because if he does it 2 weeks in a row, people are going to want to grab him.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a good stash to have in case Javonte Williams goes down again, which he's had history of doing that. So and Samaje Perine, I think, is the other one. He's not doing shit. So yeah, I'd definitely say Jaleel McLaughlin is an interesting one. Anything you got, Andrew?
Yeah, I would say I've been a big fan of Quentin Johnson since the beginning. I saw him play live in a preseason game, and I just think he's the prototype wide receiver. And especially with Mike Williams going out, makes a little bit more room for him to maybe slide in there. I think he definitely has to put in some reps and put in his time. But if he can prove himself over the next couple of weeks, he could potentially slide into that QB2 or that wide receiver 2 spot and really make an impact for the LA Chargers team there. I would say Luke Musgraves is another good tight end. He didn't have the best show out last week. He got put on concussion protocol, put up a point. I had him, just unfortunate injury type of, game time thing. But, if he bounces back this week, I think he has a good matchup and can make an impact at the tight end position. Yeah, I think that kind of gives the ones that I would be kind of targeting as far as waiver wire pickups. But again, each to their own. It depends on league by league. If you guys got other waiver wire targets that you guys are searching for that you think we should include, definitely shoot us a text or hit us up on Instagram. Let us know who you guys are targeting out there. We're going to move into biggest injuries that we saw this week. Do you see anything out there, Matt, that you want to talk about as far as injuries goes?
No, I wasn't looking for the injuries this week. I'll be honest. The Nick Chubb one a couple weeks ago scared me. So I didn't really see any huge ones. A lot of questionables. It seemed like some bruises, bumps and bruises might have happened, but I don't think that, at least not on my radar, I didn't see any huge injuries.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, not any crazy injuries. I mean, the only one I can kind of think of off the top of my head would be the Kenny Pickett bone bruises. But I think he should bounce back and hopefully play this week against a tough Ravens D and hopefully get a divisional win out of it. But anything you saw out there, Savvy Sav?
Well, I mean, this might back up my Jags pick, but Tre'Davious White, the All-Pro cornerback on the Bills, ended up tearing his Achilles, so he's out for the season. That could be a
Wow.
detriment on them. So,
Yeah.
that's just kind of was my thought process. They may be a little more sus with their DBs. Calvin Ridley could maybe have a better game. Same thing with Kirk. So, yeah, I was looking at that, and that might be a problem for them in the future, especially going against more high-powered offenses. So, something to look out for, see if they can adjust to that, but definitely a big loss for them.
Yeah, no, that's a huge loss
Yeah.
for their secondary there. Definitely gonna be hurting in that regard, and it could offer some room for these Jags wide receivers to really make some downfield throw or downfield passes and come out on top. But yeah, we're gonna move into who to start. This is like a him or him. As far as who would you start in some of these situations, I guess I'll start this one off. We got Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. Both great backs. It's just this one's real hard. You drafted Najee at a high level, hoping that he'd be the guy to perform like he did this first year or two, and he's just not at the same level. Jalen Warren, he's supposed to be that complimentary back, but he's got that spark. He's got that he's got the kick to really make a long run and make it happen. I don't know. This one's hard. In a tough matchup against the Ravens defense, I think I would give it to Najee. If we're looking at anywhere between 1 to 4 yards, I'd give it to Najee. He's the bigger back. He's got a mean stiff arm. If we're looking at tosses, if we're looking at getting one-on-one in the flats with somebody, I'd give it to Jalen Warren, and hopefully he can make someone miss and take it up 15 yards. But what are your guys' thoughts on this Najee versus Jalen Warren kind of pick here?
I mean, I actually have this situation. I have both these guys on the team, so I'm trying to figure out, who do I start? Because Najee has been kind of disappointing me. I have Warren as a handcuff, but I think he has a higher projection this week. So I'm just trying to figure out why that is and maybe who to roll with. But it seems like Warren's the the younger, has a more pep in his step kind of guy, and I think
Mhm.
they can rely on him more, especially in PPR. Getting passes to him and stuff. So I don't know, man. I'm kind of on a toss up. I want their offense to be better in general, so that doesn't help when they're only getting 6 points and you're not going to get any production from either of them. So I'm hoping this will be the game where they can pick it up. But if that's the case, I'm leaning towards Jalen Warren. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, it really depends on the situation here. I think if you're getting 1 to 3, 1 to 4 yards, Najee's probably the go-to. If you're trying to make something happen on the outsides and trying to turn something upfield, Jalen Warren's probably got, like you said, more pep to his step, a little bit more of a burst here. You got any thoughts to weigh in on this one, Matt?
Dump Najee. I don't know, man. I haven't been seeing it from him this season. I'm learning, like, if history continues to repeat itself, the new strategy for me moving forward is pick up the second string running back for Steelers. It seems like every year, James Conner came in there after, I think, Le'Veon Bell. He came in there and started playing really great. I think Jalen Warren looks a lot more like Le'Veon, or no, a lot more like James Conner when he came in there and he had that spark. Najee Harris, I think he's either just really slow or he's trying to play like Le'Veon Bell. It's not there. He needs to put his head down and run through the defenders. He needs to stop waiting for his blocks the way he is. He's too big for that. And I think I'm going to give it to Jalen Warren because he's just putting it on the ground better. And Jalen Warren's small. He's smaller, but
Yeah.
he's putting his head down more, which is
Yeah.
interesting for me. Maybe when they're younger, they have less concussions or something.
I think they're just trying to prove themselves. They're trying to really establish themselves, and I think you're right. As they get older, and especially if they hit an injury or a little injury roadblock, they might not run as aggressive, right? And I think Jalen Warren's just running like a madman out there and really trying to prove himself and maybe get that big contract. So I'd agree with both of you guys. Maybe it's time for some switch ups. Maybe it's time to fire Matt Canada. Maybe it's time to give Jalen Warren a little bit more of the role there. But we'll see what happens there. We're gonna get into Romeo Doubs or Jordan Addison. This might be a flex play for you. This might be two guys that similar type of where they're at within fantasy rankings. But who do you start in the Romeo Doubs versus Jordan Addison? We'll start with Matt first.
I got to go with Romeo Doubs. He's been doing it longer. Addison's coming in there fresh. He's creating a great relationship, I think, for the future with Jordan Love. But I think that's what they're all doing right now. So maybe Romeo Doubs, he hasn't had those big bombs go to him like he has, like what we've seen last year and stuff like that with Aaron Rodgers. But Romeo Doubs is there to do that. So when Jordan Love starts getting his confidence up, I think he's going to start bombing it to the left side of the field rather than the right side of the field to Addison. And I would go with Romeo Doubs.
Gotcha. Thoughts on this one, Savvy Sav?
yeah, man, just look at the stats too. I mean, Romeo Doubs had 9 receptions last game, 95 yards. So he's clearly getting the targets that he needs to be able to produce. And I do think he has a great relationship too with Jordan Love. Addison, he had a bad goose egg. I don't think he had any points any fantasy points at least for last week. So yeah, I've also put this one in. I have the situation as well, so you guys have helped me out on these ones. But yeah, I picked up Doubs in the waiver wire. So I think I might start over Addison just because of bye weeks and stuff. So I need someone to throw out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely start Doubs. Like you said, he's getting the receptions, he's getting the targets. And I think he's the connection is just growing stronger. Jordan Love's been playing phenomenal, in his first couple games. And I think it's a young Packers offense, but they're getting it done. And Jordan Addison, he's a little bit on the smaller stature, maybe a little bit more injury prone because of that. But he's been doing well when the looks have been going to Justin Jefferson and he's been double teamed or the spotlight's on him, so it might clear up some space for Addison. But overall, I'd give it to Doubs on this one.
Nice.
Gotcha. And then another this or that here. We got CJ Stroud playing phenomenal as a young rookie quarterback. Versus Joey B, who's just been playing like dog doo-doo in this past couple games. It's just heartbreaking drafting Joe Burrow and him just not producing over the first 4 games as much as you'd like. But what do you do in the situation? You know what I mean? You got a veteran quarterback that's trying to turn a team around versus an up and coming rookie that's really came off a good week win at home. So, what are your thoughts on this one, Matt? Who do you start in this position here?
Jared Goff. No, I go. I gotta go with C.J. Stroud. You're right. Joe Burrow's not putting it together. Maybe this week's his week. If any of the weeks are his week, it's got to be this week. Otherwise, I think they're gonna have a losing record. But yeah, C.J. Stroud, who he has there in the receiving core with Tank Dell and what he's able to do. I don't think he had a great week last week, but he's gonna be there for the rest of the season. So I think I'm gonna go with C.J. Stroud on this one. Also, can I ask who they're playing?
They are playing the Falcons. Texans are playing the
Okay,
Falcons.
yeah. And since he's playing, sorry, I had it.
Cardinals.
Cardinals. Since he's playing Cardinals, yeah, C.J. Stroud all the way.
All right. All right. So we got CJ Stroud there. I'm gonna have faith in Joey B, and I'm gonna say this is his comeback game, going to get against a weaker Cardinals team. I think it's a do or die for him. He's got to turn it around. They didn't pay him so much money for them to just have a losing season. So I'm giving it to Joey B, hoping that he turns it around. I have Joe Burrow as well as Jamar Chase in one league. Unfortunately, that's the league I'm doing the worst in, but I need them to turn it around. I got faith in them. So I'm going to give it to Joey B on this one. Hopefully turn it around. Thoughts on this one, Eli?
I agree with you, Andrew. If any game is going to be the one that he may go off, it'd be this one to kind of like this is the game they need to win to save their season.
Mm-hmm.
But T. Higgins being out, that puts a pretty big, that's pretty rough on the passing game for him. And I don't think Jamar Chase can carry that full load. But man, I'd probably just have to ride with a hot hand right now. I'd go with CJ. I think Joey B, I'd have to put him on the bench only because he hasn't given me anything and he keeps disappointing. And you're right, if you're 1-3 or something right now and you're losing because of him, you kind of need to do something drastic. And I think this is a drastic move you have to make to risk it. So that's what I personally would do. And I have him in one of my leagues as well. So I'm trying to look at other options. I might start Anthony Richardson over him too. So yeah, it's just kind of where I'm at. I need wins, and Joey B hasn't shown me that yet. So I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah. No, I think in that league I'm kind of committed already. I'm either losing or I'm either going down with with Joey B and the crew or I'm coming back. So that's kind of where I'm in that one. But yeah, we're gonna shift gears a little bit. We're gonna move into top performances and worst performances. We had a lot of good performances out there this week. A lot of 30 plus players, a lot of 20 plus players making it happen out there. Who were some of the top performances that you saw this week? We'll start with Matt. Who was making it happen?
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, I wanted him to get that fifth touchdown. They were saying that the 4 touchdowns was already a historical day for him. So I think Christian McCaffrey, he absolutely popped off. Who else did I see do really well that hasn't? Terry McLaurin. I think Terry McLaurin had a great week, and that might be his breakout week. Not sure it's his second year with their quarterback there. His last name starts with a D or something.
Sam Howell.
Oh, Sam Howell. Okay. I was thinking of another quarterback. I think he had a great week. I think he did really well with what they did, and they were playing a tough team. So I think he had a great week. And then Garrett Wilson out of the woodworks. I think that was he played against the Chiefs, defending champs. Yeah. So going in there and playing the way he did, it seemed like either he's just getting used to the pressure or something like that. But I think he had a good week.
Yeah. Some other notable performances out there. Josh Allen was a madman. I think he got 3 touchdowns, came up with 37.5 fantasy points, 1 rushing TD, just played an absolute demolishing game against the Dolphins there and put up some real good points. Mark Andrews, as far as tight ends we're talking about, this was a great performance for a tight end going out there, making it happen. 25 points. I think we kind of called that last week when we were on air. You had Gus Edwards hurt. You had, you had a couple other injuries on that team, and we thought Mark Andrews or Zay Flowers were going to put up some good points, and it came to fruition with Mark Andrews. Any other performances that you want to touch on, Eli?
Yeah, thoughts there. AJ Brown, solid 39.5 points. Looking pretty good out there. Speaking of this, and while we have you on air, Matt, just like to bring up, I like to bring up every week, but Keenan Allen, he did okay this week, but I think it's been looking pretty good the past few weeks.
I was
I
I was talking some smack in the chat. Man, I regret it though. I should have picked him up. I know I had that chance. I didn't know he would have a passer rating that he has right now. So yeah, I think that he's gonna do well the rest of the season. One that I didn't mention, and I know defenses don't come up a lot. I was watching the Seattle game, and just the way that the defense demoralized the coach and the quarterback was pretty great to watch Seattle do that. So yeah, that was kind of a notable one as well.
Yeah. Any defense that's playing the Giants, just go ahead and start them now. I think that's the way to go, man. They're going to be killing them. So
yeah.
Daniel, I was like, oh man, Daniel Jones, poor guy, he just keeps going down.
We're gonna move into the worst performances here. These are some of the guys that you just expect a lot more out of week to week, and they're just not putting up the numbers that we're hoping. I'll start off first, and obviously we've kind of mentioned it before. Joey B, 4.7 points for him getting paid as much as he's getting paid, and for him having a top 3 receiver in the league, he's just not putting up the points that we're liking. He came away with 4.7 points this weekend, not what we're looking for, and hopefully he has a bounce back week and turns things around. It's this week or you're cut, Joey B. Cut from my team. All right. Who else were some of the unworthy performances that we saw out there?
Well, I started Miles Sanders over Achane. And that was a terrible, terrible mistake. So yeah, Miles Sanders out there, 6.2 points. Yeah, it was definitely rough for him. Panthers are just not the team you want to really put a lot into. So that was a total mistake on my end. And then another guy that I had starting that I was kind of disappointed in 2 leagues, TJ Hawkinson, only 4.4 points. You expect him to be a top 3 tight end with him, Kelsey and Andrews. So you want him to be out there putting up some big numbers. But yeah, the Vikings just also had a really stifled offense. Their defense had to come and clutch that game, and yeah, overall, that's just kind of what happened to be. So yeah, hopefully he has a comeback. Well, he's playing the Chiefs next week, so we'll see how that goes too. But maybe it'll be a shootout. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Any other worst performances that you want to mention, Matt?
AJ Dillon. I think
Aaron Jones.
AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones. Those guys, they suck. No, replace them. So yeah, I think AJ Dillon's, he had a terrible week. 1.1 points on the board. You don't normally see that from him. He's usually at least putting up 4. So yeah, that was shitty. Oh, I don't know. Okay. So yeah, that was a bad one. Who else? I think, man. No, Jamar Chase had a good game. Gotta think this one out loud. What you guys thinking of any defenses? I'm not thinking of any defenses right now that did terrible. I think
the Steelers.
The Steelers
did terrible on defense.
Didn't they get like negative 4 or something?
We don't need to talk about this on air.
New England did bad too. So yeah, there was the bad defenses.
Yeah. All right, so we'll shift gears and do a little bit of trade for and trade away. Here are some of the guys that I think you can target that might be going a little bit lower or just not as known as some people would like them to be known. For the trade fours, we got Joe Mixon. He's coming off, not the best game this last game. Right now, I think a lot of people are thinking he's a low RB2 when he was drafted at RB1. I think for the right person, you can get him for low trade value right now. I think he's a good target, and he's got some good matchups coming up. Another good person to really target, and this has been someone that me and me and Eli have been talking about for a couple weeks now is Sam Laporte. He's third in catches for tight end positions right now, second in tight end overall in fantasy points right now. He's, I know he's on a lot of benches right now. He's on a lot of benches. If you can target this guy and put him in your starting lineup, I think he will definitely make a good tight end for you for the rest of the season. Couple other noteworthy trade fours right now. Chris Olave, he's got the most fantasy points coming from pure utilization. This is not including touchdowns, right? So he's got 19, 14, and 18-point games, all solid games, and he hasn't really scored a lot of these games. So imagine when he's having these games and he's scoring, he's getting into these plus 20 points. Amari Cooper, another guy that has the next couple games has an easy schedule. On top of that, the Browns have now turned into a passing offense with Nick Chubb out and Kareem Hunt being that catching back. I think after the bye week, they're really going to come back strong on the passing offense. Deshaun Watson's going to be back in the lineup. It's going to be someone that you want for the long run in these trades. So any other ones that you're looking to trade for in the next week or so to make your lineup happen? I know there's a bias happening. There's bias going on. There's people getting hurt. Depends on your situation, but these are the guys that I would target. Anyone for you guys that you guys would target trying to get on your team within this next week or so?
For me, man, I'd say everything you just went over is great. Like those are all pretty solid guys I would go for too. It'd be hard to maybe pull them away from some people, but I think if you can give a juicy offer, it's definitely viable.
Yeah.
I think a big one that he popped out in that 70-point game is Miami's running back. I don't want to mispronounce the name. I've been calling him Akini. So yeah, with Akini, I think you trade for him. He's someone that's been putting up big points, and he's going to continue to do that. And do they have J.R. Wilson coming back in the next few weeks? How many more reps is this guy going to really get? If you want to use the value now, it's the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think if you do get him, you have to start him. Like you're saying, you got to use the value when it's due, and now's the time to start him. He can't just be sitting on your bench, right, Eli?
Exactly. Exactly. Also, it's Achane. I just looked it up.
Achane.
That's how he pronounced it.
Okay.
Achane.
Okay. Not Akini.
Achy knee? Isn't that what Kenny Pickett has? Achy knee?
Right. Okay, we're gonna shift gears into trading away. These might be some of the guys that you want off your team, or you can potentially trade away after a big game to maybe get something that you need to kind of fill in that injury or fill in that bye week that you got going on. I'm gonna start off Najee Harris. The utilization has just declined for Najee, and on the runs that he's getting, he's averaging about 2 to 3 yards. He's not much averaging in there, and it's just the utilization's been declining. We kind of touched on it earlier. Najee Harris is not the same back he was within his first 2 years, and it's starting to show. Jaylen Warren's starting to increase his snap count, and I would try to get rid of Najee right now while he still has some points and some utilization, and hopefully offload him for someone that might be RB2 that you can get out, or potentially even a flex. At depends on your needs, but I'd say definitely try to offload Najee. And as a Steelers fan, that's sad to say, but Jaylen Warren's on the come up.
Oh yeah.
Any other guys that you guys are looking to potentially trade away, either after a big game or just because utilization or whatnot? Anyone else that you're trading away, offloading off your team here?
I would probably say Mostert. I'd say try to get him off now. See if you can get anyone to bite. I know he didn't have a great game, but I mean, people maybe believe that he's the RB1 there still. Obviously, Achane's taking up a lot of that, so it could be someone you may want to get away from health wise, and yeah, just losing his spot soon. See if you can get some type of value for that. Maybe a wide receiver 2 even.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back into some of these guys that had stellar games, and just because of that, they have a lot of hype around them. AJ Brown, he's had phenomenal games back to back, week to week. I think right now, if you need a running back, you can get an RB1 or a high RB2 for AJ Brown. And if someone needs a receiver, someone's has an injury or starts having buys, I think you could potentially trade AJ Brown for an RB1 if that's something that you need this week to kind of get you by. Just make sure it kind of balances out in the long run, right? Another good person is if you have Laporta on your bench, or you have Hunter Henry on your bench, or you have one of these top five tight ends that you're just blessed to have two top five tight ends on in your team. You can offload Mark Andrews. He had a great week this week, put up 25 points. If you're in need of a wide receiver one or an RB1, you can go out and make that trade happen and fill that gap and still have a solid tight end to kind of move into that spot. Those are two that, after huge games have a little bit more trade value. Another person would be Cortland Sutton. 32% of his fantasy points actually come from touchdowns. And we know the Broncos are not that team this year. They're just dog doo doo. So they're not going to be having too many TDs. And I think any player that has 32% of their fantasy points, a third of their fantasy points based on just strictly TDs, I just don't think they're going to be in it for the long run, especially if the offense is not clicking as well as the Broncos is. So anyone that you guys are trying to offload your guys' team and trade away for, let me know, man.
I mean, I think you addressed a lot of it. I mean, yeah, I just had my Mostert, but you got anything, Matt?
Did you mention Garrett Wilson? I think
Garrett Wilson's a good one too. Yeah.
I think he came off of a big game, and I don't know how consistent that's going to be. So I would definitely offer Garrett Wilson up right now. I was thinking of a couple other ones while you were going through those. I think Tank Dell, he's a high value guy right now, and if you want to get another high value guy for him, I would put him out there and try to trade him up. And then I think an interesting one, he needs at least a game to come back. It's going to be Jameson Williams on Detroit, because there's so many weapons that have been utilized throughout the season so far. He's coming into the wide receiver position. He's been off of the field for quite some time now. I think they took him off the roster for whatever it was. He was betting on himself. So you can't bet on yourself, I guess. But I would, if he comes to value next week or the week after, I would definitely trade him up.
Gotcha. Yeah. Definitely some trade fours, tradeaways to kind of keep in mind for those fantasy managers out there. We're going to move into week 4 shotguns. I'm going to let Eli take this one away. I think he kind of has a list of who needs to shotgun, me being one of them. So be expecting that in the degenerate chats.
Whoa, Andrew, don't spoil the surprise there, buddy. Okay, so yes, we have some week 4 shotguns for people who just made some bad fantasy calls and put in some guys who just couldn't get it done. So for the week 4, Andrew already said it, but yes, Andrew did get a not a zero. I think he got a negative in there for starting. Was it the Steelers defense in there? Yeah, Steelers defense. So I think -3 or -4. Not looking too hot. Definitely a rough game for them. So yeah, man. Just whenever you get your shotgun in, just let us know.
Rough game for all Steelers fans, not just me, but I'll definitely be posting that to the chat. I think I got some Topo Chicos in the fridge, so looks like that'll be what I'm drinking. Who else is on the list there, Eli?
And we got good old Robert, man. I know he had just a great weekend celebrating with friends and family, but that boy's got a shotgun now. So getting 0 for putting in Matt Gay, I believe. So just kicker couldn't get it done at all either. So sorry, Robert. We are expecting that shotgun as well this weekend.
Yep. All right, congrats to all those that don't have to shotgun, and we'll see who makes it next week. But we're gonna move straight into the betting segment. We got the odds and ends. This is Eli's favorite segment of the podcast here. Take it away, Eli.
All right, guys. So I want you to close your eyes, all right, and I want you to picture this glorious Sunday that we're about to have. What you're gonna do? You're gonna wake up at 6 a.m. You may be a little drunk still, or hey, you may be feeling great. Have a cup of coffee, whatever you want to do. You're going to throw on the Jags and the Bills game. You're going to put $100 on the Jags plus 200. Try to double your money right there, right? You're gonna throw it down. You're gonna sweat that game. Hopefully, Jags win. If they don't, you're gonna move into the 10 a.m. games. Okay, you're gonna put another 100 on the Steelers to take out the Ravens plus 159. Hopefully, Kenny Pickett's in. They pick it up. They get it. All right. Now, if you lose that one, you're down 200. That's fine. Double or nothing. Okay. You throw 200 on the 49ers, put on the spread minus 3.5. They're going to kick the shit out of the Cowboys. You at least break even. All right. That's going to be your Sunday. You're going to have a blast. Letting you know. That is going to be my underdog segment of the week. Have fun. That's my recommendation.
What way to paint the picture on that one, man. You had me straight from the jump, man. I don't know about that Jags one, but I'll definitely be rooting for the Steelers, putting some money on them, and seeing Pickett bounce back. And then if they can't do it for me, I'm gonna throw it all on the Niners and make my money back. So I'll definitely be hitting those. Any fun bets that you're looking at, Matt? Anything as far as either underdog, fantasy picks, anything that you're shouting out for?
If I were to go on a team, I would be betting on the Vikings because they're playing the Bears. So I would put a lot of money there.
Oh wait, no, they're playing the Chiefs this week.
Are they? Oh,
Commanders are playing the Bears. Commanders are playing the Bears.
I'm living in week 6. Week 6 bet on the
All right, we got a feature for you. A good feature right here from Matt Evans. Take the Vikings now. Buy the line while you can before the Bears look even worse.
Yeah, take the Commanders.
Awesome. We're gonna move into the Survivor recap. I know Eli, you love the Survivor series. Hopefully, we're still going strong in it. Let us know some of the results that came of this the Survivor recap here.
Yes, sir. So, man, 4 weeks in, this last game had us sweating. We took the Eagles to win it, and they had to go to OT, but they were able to come out on top. I think Eagles' schedule gets a lot harder from here. So, hey, we got that out of the way. We got the win. We're moving on to week 5. So right now we've already picked the Falcons, Bills, Seahawks, and Eagles. Those have been our picks so far. We cannot choose them again. I looked at the matchups this week. I have one maybe risky and 2 pretty solid. So what I'm going to suggest, I got the Panthers, the Lions. You know, my reasoning is this is my so-so just because I think Lions can drop one if, you know, they just have a bad game. But going against the Panthers 0-4, I think that offense is pretty stifled, whether it be Andy Dalton or Bryce Young. And I think the Lions should be able to handle that with their defense and, you know, with their powerful offense, they should be able to take that one.
Mm-hmm.
Giants, the Dolphins. Anyone playing the Giants, man, you should be able to go in there and win that. And Dolphins are probably gonna have a bounce back week after losing to the Bills like that. So I think that should be a solid one for them, especially being at home. And lastly, Chiefs and Vikings. So Matt, I'm gonna have to go against you on this one. I'm gonna have to take the Chiefs. Chiefs should be able to win this one as well. But you know, this could be the one the Vikings just need and end up getting. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But Chiefs, like we said before, they kind of play down to the level. You know, they kept it really close with the Jets and almost lost that one. So that also would have been a sweaty one if we would have picked them for it last week. So yeah, these are just kind of my options. And you know, I did get to pick last week, but this is full touchdown times decision now. So I don't know. What do we like? And I personally kind of like the Lions. I kind of want to pick them here just because I kind of want to pick them now. I kind of the Dolphins have a pretty solid schedule the rest of the year, so they could be an easy pick one later. So and same, we can hold the Chiefs over, maybe just pick them down the line. They could be our safety net later on when it's looking bad. But yeah, I'm liking the Lions in this one.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. I like the Lions over the Panthers. You know, 0-4 team going up against a 3-1 team. The Lions have been making it happen. Dan Campbell's been coaching real well the first couple games. So I would go with the Lions over the Panthers on this one. Seems like a safe, solid pick to keep their Survivor kind of going. I could see definitely the Dolphins winning over the Giants. And that's definitely a safe pick. I think the riskiest pick here is probably the Chiefs over the Vikings, though. You know, the Vikings have lost by very close margins in all their games. I'm talking within 7 to 3 points. You know what I mean? In each of their last 3-4 games. And the Chiefs, they play down to their level. They got all this hype and momentum around Taylor Swift and what's happening off field that they might be distracted. I think that's probably the riskiest pick here. Then again, I would choose Lions over the Panthers, man.
Yeah, man. All right. Hey, Matt, you got any thoughts?
I don't know what you guys' thoughts would be on this, but I might take the Saints over the Patriots. Just that's one from left field. I don't think the Saints are someone you're really gonna want to pick the rest of the
Mhm.
season, but just the Patriots coming off of that big loss. You know, Mac Jones wasn't getting in the backfield. I don't think their running backs were doing much. I like the Saints in this one, and the Saints just lost their last 2 games.
Are they
Uh,
playing at home this week?
I believe it's gonna be versus Saints. So I think it's home field Patriots. So that could be a tough one. But
Yeah, I think Patriots are favored too by 1. It's minus
I like
1 for
Detroit.
Patriots.
I like Detroit with you guys. I think if you were to pick anyone, pick Detroit because they're
Yeah.
playing the Panthers. Bryce Young is coming off of the injury. Andy Dalton, he's a backup. He didn't get anything done except for throw the ball to Adam Thielen, which was cool. So yeah, I'll go with the Lions. I like that pick a lot.
Sweet. Nice. All right, we're gonna move right into touchdown trivia. We got the question from last week, and also the question and also the answer. So I'll read the question. Savvy Sav, you go over the answers and then let us know who answered it and what the answer was. So we have who holds a single season receiving yards record. Let us know who the answers were and who won that one.
So yeah, we have Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, and Larry Fitzgerald. 2 people answered for Jerry Rice, 1 person answered for Randy Moss, and 1 for Calvin Johnson. But the correct answer is Calvin Johnson. So yeah, whoever picked that one, congrats, you got it. He had 1,964 yards in 2012. So
What?
yeah, I mean, almost 2,000, but damn, that's
Yeah.
pretty close, man. It's a pretty solid season right there.
What an accomplishment right there. Holds the record still from 2012. That is insane. Yeah, I talked about this with Tristan and yeah, I think he got this right, but it was just word of mouth on this one. But yeah, Tristan definitely answered this one right. So shouts out to him, and then whoever else answered it on Spotify, shouts out to you. Text us, Instagram message us on Touchdown Times via Instagram to submit your answers there, or you can answer on Spotify. However you want to answer, we'll shout you out. But we're gonna move into our Week 8 touchdown trivia. Who was the quarterback named for Super Bowl I MVP? This one, we'll give Matt an opportunity to answer as well. But we got Bart Starr, Johnny Unitas, Tom Brady, or Joe Namath, Broadway Joe Namath. Who was the QB named Super Bowl I MVP?
Tom Brady. No, I'm kidding. Oh man, he's great. Everyone loves Tom Brady, but I think the only name that really jumps out at me on those decisions would be Joe Namath. It's the only one that, like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, that name is so recognizable, but it could be for something totally different. I know, we were winning tons of championships back then, so I wanna go with Joe Namath. It could also be Bart Starr. For some reason, I feel like that name jumps out at me as well, but I'm gonna lock in the Joe Namath.
Gotcha.
All right. So we got Joe Namath locked in. We'll definitely give you guys the answers next week. Feel free to hop in on Spotify and answer our poll there if you guys want to participate. And yeah, good luck to you guys out there. No cheating. No cheating. So yeah, man, this was our podcast, Touchdown Times. We appreciate having you on here, Matt. Just kind of want to give some updates. Just one thing that I noticed in our stats, we have 1 person listening in Ireland. That is pretty crazy. I don't know.
Let's
I don't know
go.
how that happened, but hey, shout out to you out there in Ireland. And yeah, Touchdown Times is now international. So that's what's up, man.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
Jared, fly back home. No, that's awesome, dude. That's great.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, thanks Matt for coming on air, sharing some of your football knowledge and your fantasy advice here with us. It's always great to have you on air. And on top of that, we're just gonna kind of wrap it up and say this concludes Touchdown Times episode 8. Thanks for tuning in with us. We'll catch you next week. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, follow us on Spotify, like, subscribe, all that and all much more. We'll catch you next week. Alo out, Savvy Sav out, Matt Evans out. Peace out, guys.
Peace.
Catch you next week.